So hello, welcome back to the bunker, and as the title of this video would suggest, this is somewhat of a monumental moment. First of all, big thank you to the owner of this particular McLaren MSO Sabre, and also to MSO and Neil Underwood, who is the global sales manager for MSO, for coming down here. Reason being is Neil has been part of the client journey since day one, which, am I right in thinking it started about 2 years back now?
That's right, James. Yeah, bespoke commissions, if I sort of start, are basically a customer influence program. So we have a proposal that comes on from one of our retailers around the globe, and we then look at that proposal and see what we can make as a brief. So the first point of call is to get the customer's interpretation of what they want, and in this case, it was a show car for the road. Right. So they wanted to be able to have a car that had enormous presence on road, but also they could park it up at Pebble Beach, for instance, on the concept lawn, and it wouldn't look out of place. And I think we've certainly achieved that. Absolutely,
yeah. I find myself saying this quite a lot. I'm really fortunate in this line of work to stand in front of some cars with some incredible detail. Honestly, this is up there with, in a minute, we're going to run you through. I'm pretty confident that the lens is not doing the sculpture and the detail on this car justice. Neil was saying that we're very fortunate because this is one of the sort of more elaborately spec'd cars. And in a minute, I mean, the interior is off the chart incredible. So we are going to run you through what makes this car special. It's great to have Neil here because normally when McLaren drop a car off with me, they will have prefaced it a week in advance with a load of info on the car. But this was very much led by the clients of MSO. And am I right in saying that there's 15 client cars?
That's right, James. Yeah, there's 15 cars. Each of those cars is individual. So each of those cars would have been specified by the owner. Everything about the car is unique. You know, the paint, the tinting of the carbon fibers, the treatment on the interior, everything is personalized to their own desire, effectively.
When you say it's client-led, this is a group of clients who have come to you with an idea of the car that they want, as opposed to MSO going, what do you think about this car?
That's right, yeah. In the case of Sabre, we had a group of customers from the West Coast who approached us, and they had this vision of what they wanted to achieve. We then sat down with our design team, obviously headed by Rob Melville, and looked at how we could interpret that brief into a dramatic and really impressive car. And the other thing that Rob was able to do with his team is to shrink wrap this car. And what I mean by that is everything about the profiles and things are very much designed to federal standards, because this is a federal only car. This is only available in North America. So we were able to really push the boundaries in terms of what's possible and create this very dramatic body.
What is the platform really that sits under this car?
So this is you know, an Ultimate Series platform in terms of the tub, but it's quite unique. I mean, probably 70% of the car is new. Wow. So there's a lot of new components in the car that have reached the Sabre.
Around about 825 horsepower?
Yeah, 835 PS is the figure, and about 800 Newton meters.
Okay, no slouch there. Even though it was prefaced as a show car for the road, you certainly haven't held back. This is very much a very functional, operational, and very high performance show car.
Absolutely. In fact, you know, in ultimate speed terms, this car is actually the fastest McLaren two-seater that we've ever produced. So nearly 219 miles an hour on the test track.
Phenomenal. Wow, yeah. That's excellent. And I believe also, and we'll share this with you as we have a walk and talk, there are also some McLaren firsts.
There are a few McLaren firsts on this, and we can go through the detail of that.
Okay, I'm fascinated about the elements of design that you were able to create as a result of it being federal only, starting with these floating pods?
So the sort of the idea was to have literally airflow going not just underneath the car and over the car, but actually through the car as well.
Yes.
So you can actually put your hand in here and you can feel
Wow.
the space. The other thing to point out is the wing mirror. So again, we wouldn't be able to get a wing mirror like that through a global certification program. Right. So it's unique to Sabre. And the angles, just if you come down here to the headlight and through the driving lights, these very sharp radii would not be suitable for a global certification. So it allows us to really be very expressive in the design, and the design team at McLaren were able to really do some incredible stuff.
I mean, again, I don't know if this is doing it justice. The layers, particularly as we work back, when you actually see it and you can move around it, you can almost appreciate the amount of depth there is. I mean, just the idea of being able to fit your hands under there just shows how much that is actually a floating component of the car rather than it just being stuck on.
Right,
It looks awesome, man. Yeah. So good. And I know it's a small detail, but when this rolled in earlier, of all of the things, and when we get around to the back in a minute, you'll see how dramatic it is around there. Having a wing mirror that actually looks good, it really stands out, because we're so used to seeing these boring blocks, aren't we, on the outside of cars.
And that's really driven by global certification.
Right.
We're not, our designers would love to design everything like this, but you've got to obviously apply your product to a certification standard, and this allows us that extra freedom.
Man, I wish that was the case ever. Can you imagine how beautiful our cars would look if it was a bit more flexible? Okay, while we're here, let's talk about the wheels, because literally everything you look at on this car, there is story. So of course, nothing on this car is standard. Everything, I assume, is being created bespoke for the project. Run us through the process of creating these wheels.
So this is another McLaren first. These are, so you're probably familiar with the term diamond cuts. Mm-hmm. These are actually diamond machined. So on a 7-axis machine, we're able to create these incredibly intricate spokes, which you can see have both got holes going this way and this way. So you can only do that when you take basically a solid billet of aluminium and you forge and machine this wheel out of a solid. So it's again another testament of the Sabre.
Braking, has that filtered down from the Ultimate series?
Yeah, braking is the same as our Ultimate series cars.
With experience, they stop. They're amazing. 2 years in the making. What level of involvement, this being a customer-driven car first, what level of involvement do clients get in developing their car?
Well, the bespoke commissions program, James, was set up so that owners that want to do something really unique have the ability to really come with us on the journey. Mm-hmm. So, we talk about the customer journey or the experiences that they have. But this car really started with the owners coming to the studio and actually seeing the clay model.
Wow.
And some of them even actually decided that they wanted to have a play with the clay.
Really?
So it was really a great way to start the program.
It's like unprecedented levels of involvement. I mean, that stuff's normally all behind closed doors.
Absolutely, and we're only able to do that because of volumes.
Sure.
So with a 15 car collection, you've got that ability to be able to have a really personalised experience, which brings the customers much closer to McLaren, and it gives us a fantastic opportunity to interact with them.
So the paint scheme on this car then also has a story in that it relates to last year's theme of the F1 team.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea, the customer's sort of vision for this was, they're huge F1 fans of our team. They wanted to have a car which, the inspiration was the MCL 35 from last year, and we created that. The papaya spark colour that you can see on the body is actually a special blend. So the customer was very specific. He wanted not just a standard MSO colour, wanted a particular blend. So we blended a special colour through our Alchemist MSO, and then added the Vega blue, which is obviously from the Formula One car, and the satin carbon fibre. And the car, does look absolutely incredible.
It's bonkers, honestly. I know I keep saying this. I wish more people could see this in reality. Again, in a minute, we're going to share some details. For me, it's amazing at the front, but the more you work back through this car and you piece everything together, particularly hearing stories, you look at it totally differently. The amount of effort that's gone into it, client involvement, stories about paint, all of this stuff, for me, makes you look at a car completely differently because you can see how much passion and heart and soul has, been built into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's testament to the craftsmen and women at MSO that have the the skill to be able to execute paintwork and design to this level. It's really, it's really phenomenal.
So also, as part of the development journey, didn't you guys fly a mule out and some of the clients were able to drive it?
Yeah, so we used a production prototype, a fully camouflaged car, which went out to an event in the States, secret test track, where customers actually drove the car before they took delivery. Yeah. And again, that's a unique thing that we can do on bespoke commissions where the volumes are low.
In what world would that happen? To be able to drive the car before it's built is huge.
I think very few people outside of the industry have driven a camouflage car.
Yeah. Okay, one more detail. There's going to be lots more details, but one more detail before we move further down the car. From afar, you probably can't appreciate the incredible work that you've done on the carbon here. What is this technique called?
So this is an interwoven graphic. So it was first seen on the Speedtail, and we thought it'd be kind of fun to have it on Sabre. So some of the customers opted to have the interwoven graphic, which you can see is taken out here by the 03, which is actually the VIN number for this car.
So effectively, you've sort of altered the direction of the weave in order to create a shape within the carbon.
Correct.
It is gorgeous, and I love the fact that you don't see it until you get up close. Things like that make me look at an entire car differently, because I'm like, if you put that much effort into a number, what else is happening back here?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the theme of show car then, this is a really interesting detail. How did this come about?
Well, it's just another sort of element of the car, of how we can sort of convey the craftsmanship message. And these are sort of solid billet pieces that are machined out. You've got the Sabre logo on them for the water and the oil, and this flap actually comes up on a hydraulic gas strut.
Okay. For me, at least, we're approaching the business end of the car. I know the front looks awesome. The whole thing, mate, what you've done at the back is bonkers stuff. For now, though, it's hard to ignore this Aero Spine.
Yeah, so the car obviously has a central spine which is inspired by the LMP car, and that then goes into the centre plane and the end plates, again LMP inspired. Yes. It's all about creating drama, and the spine is actually structural, so it aids the straight line stability for the car as well. So it enables it to do that incredible, top speed.
Even though this has quite fancy aero, the emphasis isn't necessarily on downforce.
Absolutely not. No, this car is its main focus is around sort of drama. We want to convey this incredible presence on the road. It's actually the widest McLaren that's ever been produced.
When you brought it in here, I thought this has got some presence.
Yeah.
Is it?
And obviously the lights, the driving lights at the front, vertical driving lights, and the LMP lights at the rear really make it quite dramatic.
Despite the fact that the emphasis isn't on downforce, the aero is bonkers. That wing is colossal.
It's a bit of a work of art, isn't it?
So in terms of heat management, there's lots of very beautifully sculpted holes here. Am I right in assuming that the majority of that is for that?
Yeah, we didn't really want to have grills on this car, so we obviously created a design that has this very sort of unique section here, which the client has decided to pick out in terms of the Vega blue, but also these hexagonal shapes, which are sort of in lieu of any form of cooling. So it just makes it, again, it's the drama.
Right, let's spin this around a bit and talk about one of McLaren's firsts with regards to the Diffuser. Just quickly, we thought while we chat about this section, we'd leave you to look at one of the best rear ends I've seen in some time. Just quickly, in terms of the development of this car, how does it differ in terms of your more series production cars?
Well, it doesn't really differ at all, actually, James. We follow, I mean, this is a McLaren, so we follow the same process. It will have extensive testing, both on the road, but also in the cold and hot climate chambers.
Yeah.
It'll go through monsoon testing. The car would have gone through the wind tunnel.
Right.
And it would have followed the same process as any of our McLaren cars. We produced a mule, we've produced what's called a production prototype car as well, to obviously validate all of the settings on the car, and it's done, you know, literally thousands and thousands of miles.
Yes.
In its testing process.
Well, that's great to hear. I think there's definitely an assumption out there that just because it's a smaller run car, that it doesn't necessarily go through all of the same sort of stringent processes that your production cars do, but great to hear that it actually does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is a McLaren, so it has to go through those rigorous tests that all of our cars go through.
Speaking of rigorous tests, talk me through this substantial diffuser. Once again, not sure if the depth of this is coming through on camera. To me, it looks closer to the back end of your 720 GT3 car than a road car. It's serious.
It is, and the other thing is that this is another McLaren first. So this car actually has an active diffuser.
Okay.
And what that enables us to do is obviously you can see the flaps here at the bottom.
Yes.
So you can alter those flaps to allow to improve the CD factor, the slipperiness of the car through the air, and then obviously under braking it will come up.
So that in part is helping to contribute to that. What was it, 218 miles an hour, was it?
218, yeah.
It is wild. And again, in terms of detail and depth, I love that this pinstriping has continued on the diffuser. One thing that you can't see, and we'll try and splice in some B-roll, is that the owner and client has had his logo hand painted underneath the diffuser here, including the chassis numbers as well. Now, exhaust, when this rolled in earlier, it sounds great. It sounds really good.
It does sound great. It does sound great, and the engineering team have done a fantastic job. Obviously, it's an Inconel exhaust as used in Formula One, but we were able to get a really unique sound from Sabre, and I'm very pleased with the way that's come out.
If you think there's details on the outside, we got to show these guys the inside. If you follow the channel regularly, you, like I, might be pretty familiar with the interiors of McLarens. I've never seen anything that you've done that has elevated the experience of your interiors to such a different level. I mean, every surface on this is just different gravy, mate. It's special. Let's just start with this blue tinted carbon, which seems to be pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, so the customer wanted something that was again unique. So we call this, we've developed this specially for him. It's called Kinetic Color Stream.
Okay.
And every, from the IP to the DNR, the drive neutral and reverse panel, through the center console, the steering wheel, and all the doors and the roof pod are all Kinetic Color Stream. And it just, as you say, it elevates the car. Yes. And then together with the bright work in this car, these beautiful anodized features through the vents, the iris control, the central panel, and the paddles, it just makes the car very, very special.
So earlier on, I mentioned that pretty much everything in this car has a story, including the cup holder. Run us through this.
So I'm sure the client wouldn't mind me saying this, but he likes his coffee.
Yeah.
So he asked us to build a bespoke cup holder.
Okay.
So this car has a cup holder which will exactly take a venti cup from a well-known
fantastic
coffee company.
I mean, that's detail, isn't it?
It is, and it's of course got his Crown logo on as well. So we came up with 3 interior concepts, and this concept is called Dynamic, where we have a different colour driver seat from the passenger seat, and this was inspired actually from the McLaren F1, where we did a similar thing, and Speedtail you'll see it on as well. So the owner wanted a very striking interior, and also opted for the option seat. So this has a driver adjustable rake, So you can actually, while you're in the car, you can adjust the rake of the seat.
What would you say is the main feature in here that you wouldn't have been able to do if you had to homologate it outside of the US?
Well, I think that's the DNR panel, the drive, neutral and reverse that you can see here. Obviously it's handed, so it's handed to a left-hand drive, and again, purposely designed and built, including this fantastic anodized section with this. You can see the MSO badge, which is actually a stainless steel insert. So it's just beautiful craftsmanship.
A pretty substantial detail is a set of signatures that sits between the seats there. Going back quickly to the overall theme of this car is somewhat of an homage to last year's McLaren F1 car. You've got the signatures of Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris and Zach Brown.
Zach Brown, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so they very kindly signed it for the owner, and we're expecting to add Danny Ricciardo to that very shortly. Okay,
so there we have it. Fantastic look at McLaren Sabre. Thank you so much for coming down and sharing your knowledge, Neil. It's a really great insight. Also, massive thank you once again to the owner of this phenomenal car. Congratulations. Please be sure to follow his Instagram account below. Some phenomenal stuff on there. Any questions or comments you have, leave them below. I'll try and answer them the best I can, but if not, I'll get on the phone to Neil. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we shall see you next time. Ciao.